Capricorn, welcome to your October reading. You will have a Halloween reading as well. You are Oppenheimer, and that will be after October 23rd. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about these eclipses and how they relate to you. So, first of all, this eclipse season is going to test your relationships. Sudden changes are possible, and they all have to do with resolving accumulated tension. This goes extra for Cap rising. So whatever you've been avoiding on the 14th and the 28th, those things become very central and things move suddenly. If you can talk about what you've been avoiding before we get there, and just even if you're talking out loud to yourself, just a bit of attention there would be really good, because this has to do with love, it has to do with power, it has to do with you knowing that you need to redefine what you're looking for. But it's like there's a stubbornness there. It doesn't matter how good something is for you. If there's something standing in the way, like duty or obligation or how it looks to other people, you can just avoid making the change or avoid having the conversation with yourself, and it can go on for a long time. And this season is about understanding that even though you crave long-term things, long-term relationships, long-term plans, you have to first go through the really uncomfortable of choosing someone who actually can realistically carry through that long term with you. They're amusing enough, they're beautiful enough, they're tied to you enough, the connection is strong, and the chemistry is enough to carry you over those moments that are, how do you put it? Like when you're just bored of the struggle and you want to win and you want your love life to match the rest of your life, You want a long-term plan with someone who looks good next to you, someone who fits the bill, but maybe that's different than what it used to be. Maybe there are some people around who perhaps don't fit the criteria you had a few years ago, but they would definitely fit what you're looking for now. But it's, you're bored of anyone who's around currently who is struggling, and there's just like, it sounds cold, but there's a lack of chicness to that. You're not into anyone or anything, whether it's friendships, relationships, work colleagues. You're not into anyone who's giving you like a struggle vibe. You understand very deeply right now that your vibe and sustaining your particular vibe is the key to opening doors for yourself and making things easy. And it's really easy to tell when you've been around somebody who is boringly stuck, in either being cheap or negative or too gauche, too obvious. You're really in love with the mystery of things right now. You like the intriguing, you're liking the subtle, even when it comes to clothing, when it comes to aesthetic. As your aesthetic changes, as your season gets closer, you're gravitating more towards the subtle, more towards change of silhouette, right? Neutrals, dark navies. Like there is a thing going on with you. If you're away from someone you really like, it is, you know, pulling on you a little bit. They're having a bit of a draw, like siren-like effect on you, especially if they have Virgo placements, Capricorn rising, especially if you're dealing with someone who has Virgo in their big three. They're pulling on you, and they're trying to pull on you, and they're doing a good job. That doesn't mean necessarily that you should give into it. It's just what's happening. So we have the Six of Cups here and the Hermit, and also the Hermit, the major arcana, being the cards that are giving you some direction here. If you feel like someone is pulling on you, someone who's far away, someone from the past, someone that doesn't seem viable to you, right? I think it's healthy to take some time to yourself and just really think about it. Don't talk to anybody about it. Don't put it out there. Just think about it. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands, which is perfect because now we're going to talk about work. Mercury is going to move into Scorpio and you become a leader at work, which is exactly what's going on here. And the money has to reflect this. Don't let somebody promote you without giving you a raise. Don't. Don't let them sweet talk you is what I have written here, but that's what I meant. Don't let them talk you into more responsibility, more work without it being reflected in your bottom line. You've done that too many times this year and last year already. So I know you dislike taking this kind of advice from, you know, anyone except yourself, but this didn't work last time and it's not going to work this time. You have to be bold in asking for this money. Okay. I know not to push, so I won't push. Here we go. Now, moving on, we have... Okay, what I have here is October 14th, solar eclipse. Let's talk about it. This is an opportunity. It's like a bonus for you. You know, it's a time for you to show off. It's a time for you to get on stage and be like, look how well I'm doing. Look how motivated I am. Look how happy I am. I can accomplish all this and more. It's really easy to pay off debt. It's really easy to clear up anything financial. It's really easy to like pay off any kind of emotional, material debt, like anything that's been weighing on you, anything where you feel like you need to mend or you need to pay or anything that's weighing on you, you're able to almost completely fill those cups. But they do, you know, it does come after a time of first feeling very deeply how empty the cups were. And that's what the past month and a half has been. It's just like, feel it, feel how empty it can get, feel it. So when you start giving this love to people again, remember how much you needed it yourself and let's not make those same mistakes again. Oh, and then we have bottom of the deck, the Knight of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, the Lovers, and the High Priestess. Okay, so let's talk about this solar eclipse. You paid those dues, right? And now you're thinking if you owe more money, especially if you have Gemini placements, you're feeling like if you owe more money, maybe it's okay to do something like kind of underhanded. Don't. If you have a Gemini in your life, especially someone who is a bit like, ooh, this might be a good time to reach out to them because they can probably help you out. If you have Gemini placements yourself, this is the time to really watch yourself when you have Mars in Scorpio, which will be later in the month. you do not want to pick fights at work. You want to put your foot down. You want to have your pay reflect your promotions and responsibilities, but you do not want to cause strife. And if there are people causing strife, you want to be the one who is bringing your colleagues together and holding them together and helping them. You may even have a colleague or two that you need to kind of baby even, and it all comes back to you. It all comes back to you. All right. So we have our cards. Let's see. What are we talking about in the extended? Well, we have to talk about health and sickness, what not to talk about. The more you involve yourself with others, what happens? And we delve into this period of aloneness. So from here down is what we're doing in the extended, and it has to do with this period of aloneness and how aloneness and really engaging with the people around you and the bouts of the two are helping you to come together and really redefine your karmic balance. Like, I feel like you guys have been at a little bit of a negative, or you've been just holding on for a while, and now you're able in the next few months until your season to really start building again. Like, you reached a plateau, as everyone does, because you've been doing this for a while, right? So you reached a bit of a plateau and now you're on your way back up. But there are lessons that you've learned at these plateaus that are really important, and they have to do with charity and kindness and people who are not charitable and not kind, people who take advantage, and what you have to do to save yourself from that. A lot of times I feel like because you can take it, because you're smarter than that, because you can see through a plot, you feel like it's not affecting you. But what you have to understand is that the person who's going to sublimate it, the person who's going to keep going as if it's not happening, is the person who's being the most affected by it, because it's affecting you on a much deeper level, because you're pushing it down there. So it would be a lot healthier to process things in real time and say what you need to, but you can only do that in the moment when things go wrong. Say at work, someone is, manipulating you, or being, asking too much of you, or in a relationship, someone is just like pushing you into things you don't want. If you've already thought these things through, if you've already had these conversations with yourself, if you've, for example, done some like remote viewing and astral traveling kind of business and gone and spoken to your future self about it, or your council of people that you've chosen, once you've done the introspection, however you visualize it, then when in the moment things happen, you can readily respond because you've done all the legwork already. You've thought about it. You've thought it all the way through. And it's actually a great way to keep from being manipulated, right? So a big part of this month, okay, so the title of the video is called Andolini. Andolini being Vito Corleone's real name, right, when he first comes to America. And the reason I picked that name as the title is because when I was watching Godfather, while I was doing the notes for this, actually I was watching Godfather 2, and 2 because there's like Vito Corleone that everyone sees, and then there's Vito Andolini, who's just a little kid who has his name misspoken and put down wrong, and he becomes a legend, right? But this little kid, he's always there. He's just put away because this other person, this persona that is created by him coming to America, him running away, all of that, and what he has to do to survive, etc. Once he's in the US, all of that is someone else. But that doesn't in any way negate the existence of this small innocent child who is just a victim of circumstance. And I'm not saying that you identify with victimhood in October. I'm saying that there are two versions of you, and the integration of those two, right, or the celebration of that within you that is still very gentle and still needs a lot of love and still wants a lot of love and can admit to it and wants love in a certain way, isn't just willing to take what it can get, isn't comfortable with like, oh, I'll make do with this, or I'll just like close my eyes and pretend it's somebody else, or whatever the fuck, right? That stuff doesn't work for you anymore, because you're integrating the part of you that like knows exactly what it wants, and you usually keep it hidden. And the part that gets stuff done and is the, you know, down to business and, you know, handling everything, those two, when they integrate, this is very Jungian now, we're talking about the integration of the shadow side, but that is what happens in October. It is what happens. Libra kind of opens the door to that integration, and then by the time we get to Scorpio season, where we're integrated and diving deep into like how fun it can be, right? So your integration of that shadow side this month it's deep, because it's so gentle and it's so innocent, and you know, it's everything this month is telling you, like, you have the right to want what you want. You have the right to speak up and say, I don't feel the way I used to feel, or I wish I could feel something more. You have the right to want things, and you have the right to end things, even if nothing catastrophic is going on. We don't want to wait for this solar and lunar eclipse to come in and shake things to the point where, you know, we feel like we had no say in what happened. We want to keep some modicum of control by getting ahead of things. That's the other thing we're going to talk about in the extended, is the lunar eclipse. So there are a couple of new ways to get the extended. You can get it on Patreon by subscribing, but also now Patreon offers to just sell the video and you don't have to subscribe. So it's like Vimeo and the other like links that are usually up, and sometimes there's like all kinds of confusion of how to use them. So this is just one place. You can either subscribe and get the video, or just buy it outright, like as if you were on Vimeo, or buying through a direct link. If you have no access to Patreon because of what country you're in, then you can obviously still go to Vimeo, or not obviously, but you can still go to Vimeo, and there is still a direct link. This extended is actually going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, there are some good anecdotes I would like to share with you. Okay, I love you. And I will see you in a minute.